Welcome in to the Charge On podcast with Pastor Wayne Bray. My name is Dallas Wilson, your host. I am joined as always by Pastor Wayne Bray, and today a very special guest, Pastor Josh Powell of First Baptist Church, Taylor's First Baptist Church.
Taylor's First Baptist.
Taylor's First Baptist Church.
It matters what order
it does. It's a big deal.
Names matter.
And I think we may be like your first or second interview since Pastor Josh announced that he was running a candidate for
That's right.
president of the Southern Baptist Convention. Being nominated,
right.
yeah.
Because that's a good way to start. Running.
Yeah.
Are you really running?
Do you have banners made?
I do not have banners. I do not feel like I'm running anything, and not really trying to campaign necessarily.
That's right.
No yard signs?
No yard signs.
So I need to take the sticker that's off the back of my car off.
Man.
No, I put it on there.
Okay.
It's just leave it for a little.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
June.
Man, we're super honored that you would take some time. I know you're only a little bit away, but getting all the way across Greenville to Simpsonville is a big deal.
Sure.
Super honored that you came in and spent some time with us. I know Pastor Wayne's thrilled to have you. Y'all are good friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me start by saying this too. Nothing Dallas Wilson says should be held against Josh Powell. Because he's kind of a loose cannon.
Which is just true in general.
Yes.
At any point.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I know coming on
Disclaimer. That's right. It's good.
Coming on any kind of podcast or interview, I mean, we are pretty I know you are super authentic, but I mean, like, sometimes we say stuff that certainly would not represent, everybody's opinion. So we're going to ask you some questions, but we may also say some things that people shouldn't necessarily.
That's right. You bring the instant message thread into the podcast is not necessarily a good thing to do sometimes.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So let me. So we've been friends now for 10 years. I mean, literally, when I moved to South Carolina from Douglasville, Georgia, you were one of the first pastors that even reached out and said, "Welcome to the state." You were already very much a state leader here in South Carolina. People respected you, and you just. There weren't. I'm just being honest with you. There weren't a ton of people who did that.
Right.
So the ones who did stood out a lot, and that has meant a lot. But we've been friends since then, and so I know you a whole lot more than a guy who's being a candidate for president of the SBC. So I want people as best they can. Who's this Josh Powell guy? You know, if you can, before you're a candidate for SBC president. You're a dad, you're a husband, you know, you're a pastor of the local church, not just where you are now, Taylor's, but where you've been. And so let the people who don't know you get to know you.
Sure. Yeah, so, man, first of all, thank you guys so much. You know, Wayne, I do anything for Wayne. Dallas, he just rides Wayne's coattails on this.
Hey, I am who I am because of Wayne Bray and Jet Wilson.
No.
Yeah.
I appreciate Dallas, too, so much. You guys in Greenville doing great work. And, you know, one of the things I love, just start off with, I love about our Greenville upstate kind of pastors is we are cheerleaders for one another.
Yeah.
And I can truly mean that. I've been in other places when that wasn't the case.
Sure.
Coming to Greenville, when I moved to Taylor's 5 years ago this month, haven't already known you and haven't already known some, but just the relationships we have up here where our churches are working on the same page and the same team, working for the same thing. That's cool. I love celebrating what you guys are doing with First Simpsonville Upstate Church. I love where you guys are going. So I rejoice in that. And so really thankful for y'all's leadership and your testimony here. I grew up in South Carolina. I'm from the Midlands, Lexington County. So grew up in Lexington. My father is a pastor and still has been pastoring for over 50 years. He pastored the same church for 34 years.
Wow.
He retired when I was in Lexington pastoring, and he came to my church for about a year and a half and had enough and went back to
He was like, I can't see this guy.
Can't do this anymore. And so he's back pastoring a little church in Lexington and serving the Lord well, just a great pastor. And so he's serving as a pastor. My granddad, when I was young, my granddad was a pastor, a little country church in Batesburg, Leesville, South Carolina. So I grew up third generation on that really side, cool. South Carolina Baptist pastors, all I ever have really known. I kind of went through my life just knowing the Lord. I came to faith at an early age and knowing the Lord, never really rebelled. I had other things that became important to me,
Right.
sometimes that trumped my walk with the Lord, such as basketball, for example. Played at Lexington High School with the legendary coach Bailey Harris, won state championships, and I loved doing that. I always wanted to be a basketball player. My goal was to get a scholarship to play basketball in college, and graduated, and that happened. Got a scholarship to play, and within the first semester, I'm just more and more miserable because as I was pursuing that goal, I was forgetting my first love, and you know how the Lord just kind of, those things just become bitter to you when they're not in the proper order. And so that was the case. I quit. My dream come true. I quit basketball. And after the first semester, and came home and started my illustrious career as an employee at Blockbuster Video.
All right,
Nice.
come on.
You shut them down, baby.
I don't know if you remember.
Now, for the
You're still
audience
young
that
enough.
doesn't know what Blockbuster Video is,
Oh man, and really had I wasn't a dumb kid. I had a lot of promise, and then all of a sudden I'm working at Blockbuster with no direction.
Right.
That's tough.
And just wondering what's next. So that summer, still going to my home church, still no direction, but student minister asked me to go and be a chaperone with the students to Jekyll Island, Georgia, for Dawson McAllister, leading a camp. And so I did. And Dawson McAllister in the early 90s, man, he was edgy.
Yeah,
And,
he really was.
He really was. And so
I've never heard that name in my life.
Because you're 31.
That's right. So, but he was there, man. He was edgy, and he put it on us hard. But I remember he preached from 2 Timothy, and I can vividly remember August 5th, 1994, him preaching that passage, preach the word. And I don't even know what his point was about it to the students there.
Yeah.
What I know was the Spirit took that passage and just started applying it to my heart, saying, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And so surrendered to the ministry, came back, got enrolled at North Greenville University, and just began that journey toward training and education toward the ministry. North Greenville just shifted to a 4-year school, and started working there. Started going there, had a lot of influence there. Then met my wife. I was a junior. She was coming in as a freshman, 1996, so met Allison. Allison's father and her grandfather are South Carolina Baptist pastors.
Wow.
Yeah, so if we're tribal, there's a line here. But just a perfect match, and the Lord just provided her in an incredible way. And
an amazing pastor's wife.
Amazing pastor's wife. Yeah, it's just like you, Amy, you're not where you are without her. And so just the Lord kind of set it up. 2000, went to Southern Seminary. After graduating. Southern was a huge part of my life. 2003, took my first pastorate. Allison helped me get through seminary, and she said, but we're having children next, and commitment was for her to stay home with them. So graduated in May, first child born in June, took my first church in July.
Wow.
There in
trial by fire right there, man.
37 people voted on me. So
that's pretty cool.
In my time, I pastored 3 churches. The first one, 37 people voted on me. The second one, 137 people voted on me. And then Taylor's is of course, much larger. So all 3.
So you've basically been a megachurch pastor your whole ministry.
The whole ministry. All 3 sizes, from the small, medium to large.
They're all big to God. That's the thing.
That's exactly right. And I love every one of them. And man, I wouldn't trade anything for my journey, for how that goes. So 4 kids now, 3 older ones. Wilds has graduated from North Greenville and applied, going to seminary, looking to go into the ministry. Him. Levi is my second son. He's a sophomore, junior at North Greenville, plays baseball there, and is training for the ministry. Want to go into, in fact, I think Levi, and I may be telling you something, but y'all's Disciple Now this week, I think he's helping with your Disciple Now.
That's awesome.
So just really excited for him. Macy Grace is a senior. She wants to go into the ministry. She's going to North Greenville as well. So we got a North Greenville school, and then a family. And then I got my 10-year-old who brings all the life to the party.
Exclamation point, right?
That's right. Through my ministry, serving at churches, all of the churches I pastored, I came into the situation after they've been through some difficult difficult times.
You've not run from challenges.
It's kind of been the lot God's given me. They, most of them had seen significant decline.
Yeah.
Most of them had gone through, that decline came from a traumatic event. In fact, the first two churches I pastored, the pastor before me wrote a book after he left about how bad each one, and so just kind of that's how the Lord has wired me to go into it. And, going into a church that's struggling, I always joke with my church planting friends. I love church planters, but I always joke, y'all are going in like you're trying to make a baby. I'm trying to raise the dead. You tell me which one's harder.
That's a good point. And that affects, just generally for people to even think about that. When somebody goes into, because I've had similar situations, remediation, revitalization type approaches, doesn't matter how big or small a church is, when you go into a struggling church or a church that's declined for 5 years or 4 years or 7 years, it is not easy to turn a ship around and metrics or whatever. No. None of that. That's why that stuff is secondary, not primary.
Well, and it causes you to think about the ministry in the sense of not yourself. If I had preferences, it wouldn't be this way at all.
Right.
But my preferences go out the window. So, because I'm trying to do what's best for this body, this congregation, to bring health back to them. And God, in all three situations, truly has blessed. And I'm really thankful for what He's done.
It's been faithful even long past your time there. One of those churches, Lake Murray now.
Sure.
Is on the second pastor past you, and I'm friends with David, man. And things are going great, man. It's just been awesome to see God be faithful in that.
One of the things if I can use the word proud of, or I'm thankful for, my first church at Fairdale, First Baptist Church of Fairdale, I became pastor in 2003. I hired a guy to $100 a week.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a month, but it wasn't much. And I hired him the first month I was there. I stayed there for 6 years. And till 2009, when the Lord called Alice and I to go to overseas for a little while as independent missionaries. I stayed there for 6 years. They hired the guy I hired. He was with me the entire 6 years.
Wow.
They hired him, and he's still there now, and the church is thriving, doing just incredible, faithful work there in Fairdale. And then when I left Lake Murray, they hired a guy, the guy I hired, and then he left. And then they hired another guy I hired. That's right. So both of those guys I had hired and kind of trained up.
So what you're saying is the future lead pastor of Taylor's is on staff somewhere.
Well, I don't know I don't know how quick I'm leaving. So
maybe not yet.
And maybe not yet, but I do think that, and I think, Wayne, you would also say this 100%, it's our responsibility to be raising up the guy after us.
That's what you're doing, man.
That's right. Yeah. And so, because, church life is odd. You're moving churches. The Lord calls you to other places. And when He calls you to another place, it causes a ripple, because they're going to call somebody from another church there. Right. And so if you can raise up that guy who faithfully can preach and serve in your stead,
got the DNA.
After you, has got it.
Yeah.
And so I praise God for that.
That really is a disciple making pastor.
Sure.
That's not just a convert making. Because the truth is you're not just leading somebody to Jesus, you're raising them up.
Raising
to
them
take
up,
your place.
And they're incredibly more gifted and talented than I am. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just sitting there going, you guys are incredible. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like it's time, the Lord's calling me to another place. Yeah. And I'm also feeling like it's time for me to get out of the way and let them lead.
So I'm going to forget something when I say this, but you've already mentioned, man, like from a heritage of SBC, third generation pastor in the SBC.
Right.
You've been a missionary. You've been a small church, medium-sized church, large church pastor. You've been on the board of, not only graduated from a Baptist college and a Baptist seminary, but you're also now on the board of a Baptist college and have served as the chairman of a Baptist seminary, Southern Baptist Seminary. Is there anybody that could be more Southern Baptist than Josh? That's the best question.
He is the definition of what Adrian said, Baptist born, Baptist bred. When I die, I'll be Baptist dead.
He's Billy Baptist with a Bible in his hand, man.
I when I look back and you say it that way, I'm like, oh, God.
You're a product of Southern Baptist.
I am, and man, I am thankful.
Yeah.
And that's the thing for me, like, I feel like over the last, and we'll get into some of this, but I feel like over the last several years, you look out there in the public, and it's almost like there's people that want you to feel bad for being a Southern Baptist, whatever it is, and they're always saying how negative things are, how terrible things are, and I'm looking at it going, man, I love these people, and I could not be more excited about our 3,500 missionaries and the largest pipeline we've had in years in the IMB, trying to get to the nation. I could not be more excited about churches being planted in major strategic cities at an unprecedented rate right now through Southern Baptist work. I am thankful. We got 6 good, strong seminaries. Man, I love who we are, and I could not be more excited about it. And that's why I guess you say all those things. I feel like for me, when someone comes to ask me if I'm interested in running or being nominated, which is the right language to use and correct, being nominated for president of the SBC, I'm almost like, are you serious? But then at the end of the day, if I'll do whatever I need to do. I'm a product of Southern Baptist. There's a duty I have to serve if called upon, and if that's what the convention's willing to do, I'm happy to serve in any way I can.
I have a question to follow up on that. I would just say, number one, thank you to someone who is I guess a generation down from you.
Appreciate you pointing that out.
That's saying you're old, Josh.
No, I don't think you guys are old. I really don't. But
I did have to go to the doctor today because I got arthritis in my foot. I was like, is this what my grandma was talking about?
You said that, not me, all right?
That's great.
I'm letting that out.
I appreciate that because I feel like I was raised, in Southern Baptist terms, I was raised to love being a Southern Baptist. Past 10 years, there's been this whole cultural upheaval, and it's affected everything. But Southern Baptists were not immune to that. And, there were definitely things we needed to get in order. There are definitely things still right now we need to get in order.
Yes.
But I'll say thank you for loving being a Southern Baptist, because it reminds me as a guy who's younger than you, like, no, we've got a good thing going here. And so I just am kind of curious after hearing you say that and hearing you talk about, man, how much you love being a Southern Baptist and the good that Southern Baptists are doing. Was there a moment in the past couple of months that as people were calling you or texting you or in your friendship circles and your groups, they were saying, Josh, we think you would be a good fit for the president. Is there a moment where you felt like you had some clarity on that, some approval from the Lord to go after that? What's that been like?
Yeah, so obviously my first conversations with my wife and just saying, all right, is this something? Because
talk to wife.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, got it.
Thank you for those coming up after.
Yeah, right.
And first conversation was with Allison, just like, is this something I want to do? Is this, do we have the bandwidth as a family? Is the church ready for this? And just kind of evaluating everything going on in my concentric circles of importance, right? So family first, wife first, family second in that process. And I don't mean that bad, but you understand what I'm saying. That relationship's most important. And then church,
right?
And then just the greater, and saying, like, is this something there? And so we evaluated that, weigh the pluses and the minuses, and kind of come to it. And then we evaluated those who were talking to me. Man, I've got great friends in the SBC, and they're calling and they're asking me. And collectively, I don't know if they joined together backwards, but they collectively were saying, I think this is right.
Yeah.
And so in that process, just praying, staying in the Word, praying, and talking to those closest to me and my closest friends in the convention, and just thinking, you know what, if this is the lot for me right now, then I'm ready to do it. Now, I feel like I'm preaching through Matthew, so I feel like those last couple of weeks. So the announcement came out Monday, and I feel like those last couple of weeks, I felt like John the Baptist in prison. Like, are you really? Like, the doubt creeps in.
That's
like,
right.
Is this really what I want to do? And it was kind of like I likened it to doing the polar plunge, which I would never do. I think it's idiotic. Yeah. But the idea of you're about to do something.
I've done that.
Thank you. You're about to do something where you got to be all in,
right?
And it's going to be something you're like. This is a big deal, and so you have those moments right before you jump in, like, not really.
Yeah.
And so just praying through that, talking through that with friends and Allison, and just getting to it and just saying, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe this is
and this kind of a sad reality nowadays. I wish this wasn't the case. I mean, I remember a time, I've been to Southern Baptist my whole life. My dad's an SBC pastor, 40 years. He's still alive, preaching, 83. Right. So I kind of can relate to some of that. But I actually called a ministry in 94. So my initial SBCs were like, just look at the guys on the stage, vote with the guys on the stage.
Right.
That was it was that uniform.
Right.
It wasn't unity. So much as it was uniformity, but nobody ran against anybody,
right?
Because it was just so together, and I'd miss those days to some degree. I also think that wasn't right.
Sure,
but it's become now to where when you're saying yes to your friends, because I know you got multiple people who would nominate you. I mean, you not only would, but we're asking, could they? So. When you have those kind of people coming to you, the question has to be like, is the cost, I'm going to count the cost.
Right.
Is the cost of putting my name out there worth the scrutiny, the evaluation. To be honest, not honest evaluation. I'm just, because you ain't got to say it, I'll say it. Bro, people are going to try to dig up stuff, and even if it's false, they'll do whatever they can, and I don't even know who they are. But like there's a 5% on maybe both sides, to be honest, from my perspective, that just try to find things to say bad about somebody that is not going to be the guy they want to support.
It's the people who live online, yeah.
So how do you, just share from your heart there.
Yeah, no, it's real. I mean, obviously nobody likes that.
Right.
And you see people that say things that I've got no idea who that person is, and they got no idea who I am, and maybe they're going off of one clip or one article or one thing, and then making this evaluation that I just feel like, man, I don't feel like I would ever do that to anybody.
Right.
And so that's weird, but I'll tell you, I have never been a social media guy. I never have. Right. I'm a Gen Xer, and so I'm before the millennials. Right. I didn't grow up with it. I remember watching Buck Rogers growing up, and at the beginning of Buck Rogers, if you remember, Wayne,
I do remember Buck
Rogers.
Dallas.
The beginning of Buck Rogers is like the year was 1989. Yeah. I started thinking, wow, 1989, that's a long way away. So
we're still partying like it's 1990.
Yeah. That's right. So I'm looking at it going, I never got it.
Right.
I don't have a Facebook account. I do have Instagram, and I like that because I can keep up with sports and my sons and that kind of stuff and what they're doing. I got a Twitter handle, and I never have understood necessarily how to best use it or use it, and try to promote the good things there.
There's not much good on Twitter, to be fair. That's my opinion anyway.
In the process of this, I talked to Allison, my wife. We prayed through it, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to delete that. I just don't think I need it.
Yeah, It's probably wise.
I just don't think I need it because I don't think it's a thing that for me and where I'm at, that I feel like I need to draw into it. I don't think good debate happens there and things. So I just don't have it on. I mean, I didn't delete my account because I didn't want people to think I was hiding anything, but I didn't. I don't use it. I don't look at it. And it's probably kept my sanity a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, here's what I know. The people that know you best.
Yeah.
That's all I'm really worried about. The people that know me, the people that I've served with, or the people that you have in your church, that you pastor. Right. At the end of the day, that's what we know that all that really matters. Yeah. So what they think about me is most important, and just have to trust in that.
And I'll give you one simple example, give you an opportunity to respond to it, and I'm way out of order on anything we were planning.
No, you're good, man.
But I think this is really helpful to the foundation of your heart, I think. Because somebody could point to an article. I mean, when you get in president, you were president of the South Carolina Convention, when you've been in prominent churches, that kind of thing, you're going to have opportunity to speak to stuff.
Right.
So some people might see an article and say, "Oh, that's it." But things like racial reconciliation, that wasn't like a moment in time for you. That's just the right thing to do, and so you've been.
Sure. So. I think everybody, you're probably alluding to that article from 2020 that people picked up on. First of all, I'm a historian. That's what I kind of did.
Absolutely.
That's what in seminary trained, worked through. I love Baptist history, writing articles, done some things in Baptist history. So when you read our history, I'm just reading it and going, hey, there's some difficult things in our history, man.
Particularly our state.
Yeah, in our state, South Carolina, the first Baptist convention. And most of our leaders kind of blossomed out of South Carolina in some way, shape, or form, especially at Southern Seminary, starting there and staying there for the first 20 years in its existence. But all that being said, I've wrestled with a lot of those things, just historically speaking. That article, by the way, just to put it in context, because I think context is helpful here, and then I'll kind of answer some things. That article was written. I tried to work the timeline. I did this on another interview. This was May of 2020, and May of 2020 was a wild time. And
Crazy,
I don't want to rewrite history. I want to go. I don't know if I handled everything correctly. It was kind of like we were flying by the seat of our pants. And Wayne, I think you remember, and I know you were on that call because I was the state convention president. And so I'm trying to figure out how to lead during this time when all of us are going, what in the world is next? You know what I'm saying? People are scrambling. We're wondering what's next. And so we did weekly Zoom calls. Yeah. And I know you were on this call. I remember it. whether you do or not. So just don't worry about it.
I doubt I do. I'm with you, man.
We were doing weekly calls with pastors around the state after Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
Which happened like in February, March.
Right.
And the video came out May 5th, I believe. We were on a Zoom call, and obviously that happened in Georgia. You have a guy running through a neighborhood, and 3 guys get in a truck and trace him down.
Right.
Those 3 guys are in prison right now. We were in a Zoom call talking about these are people who may be in our church. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we answer this in presence? So as pastors, we were saying we need to speak to this thing. We need to talk about this. We need to say something. And as the state convention leader, I said, I'll do it. I'll write something up if you guys will back it. And they're like, absolutely. And all of you guys did. I don't think there's anything in there that you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
look, here's what I thought. When I saw somebody bring that article up, I'm sitting here going, who can read the article and don't and disagree with something said in the article? It's like all super like just biblical, godly,
and that's what I was trying to be. So to say it there now, what's been picked up on, I believe, because again, I'm just getting this from people telling me sometimes. Right. But what's been picked up on is I wrote that for the Courier. So you know this. You were state convention president. You have an article in the Courier due every month. I wrote that to put in the Courier. The Courier put it online, and then on May 29th, which George Floyd happened May 25th.
Okay.
On May 29th, Baptist Press pulls it and makes it a first person.
So you wrote it before Floyd.
Yeah, I wrote it after Ahmaud Arbery, and then it's
contextually important.
It's pulled there.
Interesting.
So that's how that went down. I am one who tries to live my life according to the Word of God, authority of God's Word and the sufficiency of God's Word. So I don't always find a home in worldly categories, if that makes sense. So I'm not ashamed to say that.
See why I like him?
I'm not ashamed to say I consider no one according to the flesh.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 2 Corinthians 5. So, I believe that we should have a meritocracy. We should be people who are living and doing what's right, and we give those advancements to those who. I believe those things scripturally. I also see in that same paragraph, we are ministers of reconciliation, right? And so, man, we should be pursuing reconciliation, especially with our brothers, in every possible way. Even if we think we haven't done anything wrong, but they do, how can I do this? How can I help? In as much as it's dependent upon me, I want to live at peace. And so I'm trying to work those two things together. I would never want to do anything but denounce white supremacy and denounce something like a BLM that promotes skin color over anything else. We consider no one according to the flesh. And so I want to say both of those are wrong. CRT and intersectionality are not godly tools that we can use. So I want to say we want to stick to the Word of God, and let's look to God's Word and let that be what defines us, and not worry about all these categories the world's throwing up, and we're trying to maneuver ourselves through worldly categories in a biblical way. What I'm saying, let's just bulldoze those. Let's talk about what Scripture says.
Two things I really appreciate about you just adding that clarity. Number one, I think there's so little space especially on social media, for what you said to start that. Like you were in a group full of pastors saying, how should we handle the situation that's currently before us? I think it's so hypocritical that this mindset that lives on social media, that's seeking to, just find fault with anything and everything people are doing, when the reality is there are people at any different contextual moment. The week after Roe was overturned, pastors had to say, the week after Obergefell became the law of the land, pastors had to say, how are we going to handle this? And there's just such a certainty that people have when they're sitting on their couch on Twitter. They're like, that person handled X wrong. I think that's kind of exhausting. But the other thing that I will just say, go ahead.
Well, let me say one more thing to that. And I do think language changes. So now that's 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, and that's a different place. And I'll say this, and I'm personally, just speaking my heart here, there may be words in that thing that I won't use today.
Correct.
I mean, Dr. Moeller just did his briefing on the February 3rd on empathy, and I think I used that word. I didn't mean anything political by it.
But the word's morphed.
But the word's morphed, and it shifted and changed. I wouldn't use that. So I may change some of the words I say, but I do not change the heart of the message that we should be seeking reconciliation.
The things you said in that statement should clear anything up for anybody who don't know you and just wanted to know, hey, where's he stand on those kind of, that's I think that's fantastic, because the truth of the matter is, anybody who starts with a conclusion and tries to work their way backward is going to find anything to criticize somebody.
Sure,
so anyway,
sure.
Go ahead. You got to,
no, go keep going.
I was going to read a couple of things real quick. I know I mentioned that you have multiple people who would recommend you. There's tons of people who, even on social media, and then personal friends that I just want to read a couple of things and then segue into something. Let you talk about the word consistency.
Okay.
Because that's a particular word I think will be helpful. But Mike Carter, pastor, First Baptist Spartanburg. He basically says, proven pastor, missionary, has already served our Baptist family faithfully in leadership. I know Josh personally and believe he's going to lead the SBC with wisdom and gospel clarity. You got guys like DJ Horton. You may not want to be affiliated with DJ.
Yeah, do we want to?
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Church of the Mill, president of the Pastors Conference last year.
Yeah.
But, man, he just, of course, one of your best friends and mine too, but he loves other pastors well. He has the deepest knowledge of our history. He mentioned that about you being a historian, Southern Baptist, than any guy I know in our generation, his wife and kids, bragging on them like crazy. He's always ready to improve, adjust, and grow. This is really helpful right here. He said, he is my candidate because he believes what we all know to be true. The overwhelming, all caps, the overwhelming majority of SBC leaders want what we all want, increased faithfulness and a faithful gospel witness. I thought that was pretty helpful.
Yeah, that's good.
And then final one before I talk about Harwick real quick, Tony Wolf. And there were several others I won't read, but Tony just, as our EDT here in South Carolina, had nothing but, obviously great things to say about you and your sport. Taylor's First is our top cooperative program giver in South Carolina, 2,100 churches. And I'll say second's not close, all right? I think we were third or fourth. I can't remember, but we're nowhere. You guys are just so faithful in that regard. But he also just bragged on how Taylor's is so faithful with IMB, NAM, just your giving. But it's not just giving. You guys support church plants. You go on mission. And he had nothing but wonderful things to say about you as well. Jay Harwick, in his official announcement, used the word consistent in the nomination announcement. And here's the context in which that makes sense to me. You have been a consistent friend to me for 10 years. I said that a minute ago. I heard from countless leaders that no matter the context, it doesn't matter if it's a seminary class when you were in seminary, because I got a guy on staff who went to seminary with you, or Bible college, mission field, small church, medium-sized church, in your large church setting here at Taylor's. You have been a consistent disciple and a consistent pastor. So I know that personally that's true. You're not hasty, you're not reactive, you're not militant.
No.
And so with that, can you elaborate on why consistency is a good word to describe you? Because I think that's been a word that could be misunderstood.
Well, first of all of those, I appreciate you bringing those up. That's incredibly humbling. Those guys are fantastic guys. Each one of them and incredibly gifted and talented in their own rights and where they serve. So really thankful and a little awkward, some of it. But Jay was kind in that, and I appreciate Jay. I've known Jay for 30 years, literally, and so his willingness to nominate me is actually a blessing as a friend. And I've known him in a lot of different capacities. We were students together. We were at Southern and North Greenville Southern, and then served together in the state. He was on. He was a part of my church, a church member for a while. So just really thankful for Jay and his kind. Consistency matters because, man, I feel like there's this in this world, and this is not my phrase. This is a phrase from a 19th century Presbyterian, actually, that there is but it fits for us. There's a frantic lust for innovation in this world. And so there's this constant push for what's new, this constant push for the next thing. And that frantic lust for innovation, I think, leads us to changing ourselves and fitting ourselves to what we're looking for next. And by God's grace, I've never had that frantic lust. I'm just the same. I truly am a guy from Red Bank, South Carolina, unincorporated Mill Village, and there. My dad, I grew up. I'm the same there with those friends as I am here because I don't know anything different.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, this is who you are.
Right.
There's no, I try not to have any, there's no, I want to live my life humbly. I want to consistently. But at the same time, the consistency comes because there's no reason to change the core of who we are, right? I mean, who I am ultimately is a sinner saved by grace and one who has been changed by the gospel of Christ Jesus, not by my own works so that I may boast in myself, but only because what Christ has done. Am I anything? And so I have nothing apart from him. So what has not changed for me is the fact that Jesus has saved me, he loves me, and he's keeping me.
Yeah.
And so what I believe the center and heart of my ministry is to pronounce that to anybody and everybody that would listen.
Yeah.
And so my consistency comes from a gospel that has never changed and does not need to change.
Yeah.
It is good and sufficient in and of itself. And so I don't need to wrap my life around any other thing. I don't need to be pragmatic over any other program. I just need to simply say the gospel is enough. It is sufficient. It's enough for me. It's enough for you, and live my life according to
That's
that.
good,
Then you have other things for sanctification in your life, like kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
and a loving wife and other things that you have to do and take care of. You know, I think if people were to look at my life, they would realize it's like yours probably. It's kind of boring. I got up this morning and made 2 toaster strudels for my son. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just there's a life that we live where we're taking care of our responsibilities, doing what we do, and there's no reason for pretension.
So you mentioned missions, as far as commissioning missionaries, planting churches. There's a lot of things we've got right as Southern Baptists.
Right.
So consistency in those areas. What are some things maybe we aren't getting right, maybe, or that we could find improvement? I may be stealing your question.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So, we can talk about anything in particular. I do think that you talked about it a little bit, Dallas. The last 10 years has almost been like this little bit of a splintering effect rather than what we saw in the 90s moving into now.
Right.
And now there's the different groups that have risen up and have different concerns. And so I do think a lot of those concerns are legitimate. We need to find good, faithful answers for them, and do it, because what's happened is that splintering has worn off on, I think, what our main mission is as Southern Baptists. Yeah, we have. We need to be, and if I'm saying what's my heart for Southern Baptists is for unity, but I don't want anybody to think that means it's unity over every decision, over every thought, over every single thing. Not compromise at all, but a unity. And I think Tony Wolf has done this. He has this phrase that we've seen before, but a unity of purpose. At Red Bank Baptist Church, when I was in Mission Friends, which was Sunday night church. Yep. You don't know anything about that.
Hey, man, I was
a kid in my first church.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, just making sure.
He was in Mission Friends.
I am a royal
Mission
ambassador.
Friends. My teacher taught us about the one sacred effort. I remember. Yeah. Coming, which is, I didn't know it was the preamble of our Constitution as Southern Baptists from 1845. But she would teach us about one sacred effort, that why we do what we do is to advance the gospel to the nations, recognizing that the Great Commission is what we are about as a people, and we can't accomplish the Great Commission by ourselves. It's no matter how big your church is, you can't reach the nations by yourself.
No way, man.
We can join together, and we can reach the nations, and we can reach the lost people around us that as a church we can never get to. Our church gives a significant amount of money to cooperative program, always has. Yeah. But just the money we give could only sponsor really maybe 2 to 3 families.
Sure.
Right.
4 families. We're able to send 3,500 missionaries and say those are our missionaries. Right. And that's what the blessing is for the large church to the small church. We're coming together to say those are our missionaries. And I think what we need is to come back to that unity of purpose again, to say what we've joined together for is to reach the nations, to train up ministers, to send them out to reach the nations.
Yeah, that's good.
And so be proud to be a Southern Baptist, be thankful to be a Southern Baptist, and let's join back in on this vision and mission. As you know, in your local church, without a clear mission that is before your people, they're not going to give. They're not going to join in. They're not going to use their efforts and resources. And so I think some of that issues that have arisen as causing us to take our eyes off the clear unity of our purpose.
In the local church, too, you hear me say this all the time when we're talking about revitalizations or even mergers for campuses, anything like unity is like number one.
Right.
If you're not unified, you have no hope of success moving forward.
Right. And we're for 40,000 plus individual autonomous churches. I'm not trying to say everybody's got to be exactly the same on all things.
Can't be.
We've got the Baptist Faith and Message. It is clear. We join in. You affirm this, and then you try to work together to reach the nations with a unity of purpose. That's what we came together for.
And we do have a process that's been proven effective with credentials committee. If somebody doesn't fit that, there's a process. There
is a process, and we can talk about answers to those things and get into it. Now, and I'd be happy to. For example, I think over the last couple of years, there's been a loss of trust, and some people are trying to figure out how to get that trust back. Whether it's the transparency issue, which I believe in transparency. I also believe that our trustee system is the best way we have to run our institutions. That has accountability to our institutions, through our trustees, to the convention. And I always say, to the famous B.H. Carroll line, when you don't go to this one, go to that one, but then finally take it to the messengers, they'll answer it. And the messengers have spoken clearly on this. I think last year proved it, that the messengers support our trustee system. Does that mean it doesn't need to have some tweaks and some works? I think we need to really be pushing for trustee training that goes on, so that we've implemented that in our state, by the way. We did that when I was state convention president, where we started, anybody that's going to be a trustee at one of our institutions, they have to come to a training to know what it means to be a trustee, know what the expectations are, know what your duties are.
That's good.
I think we need to implement those kind of things. We need to make sure they're educated. At the same time, I think the system is still good. It doesn't always work quickly.
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect. I don't know of another way. And I think last year the messenger spoke clearly. We still trust the trustee system. Now let's work to make it better, but we still believe in this is the best way to do it.
What would you say to the person, I would say, who has contact with you or access to you now through social media? We can kind of bemoan the reality, but the Southern Baptist president, the lead up to the election is on social media, is kind of where it lives. And the downside to that is, I don't know if people realize this, but social media is not a real place. You can't actually go there, But I'm thinking particularly of Twitter, and there are you said you're not on it. I envy you. I wish I had never gotten on it. I wish I could stay off of it. But there are pluses and minuses to it. I think one of the strange realities of like living in that space a little bit is that you can kind of believe that things are worse than what they are. And so there have been a couple issues over the past 6 months to a year where our credentials committee they whiffed. They said, but what would you say to the person on Twitter who, when that whiff happened, or when it looks like there's a doctrinal compromise here, what would you say to that person who says, look, the Southern Baptists are compromising, or look, the system's broken? Because it does feel like the three of us sitting around this table, we know the truth. Southern Baptists are Bible people. It's inerrant, it's infallible. What it says is good, and that's what we're going to go by. But there are some people who don't believe that. And what would you say to the people who are really doubting whether we're still that, and how can we become unified again?
Question.
I think we got to remember, saying Southern Baptist as a collective term is a dangerous game.
It is.
Because we are a collection, a convention of autonomous churches. And so I have zero control of what First Baptist Simpsonville does. I'm not a member. I'm not a part of it. Y'all can do what you want to. That's right. So I have zero control. And so while we may have some churches, and we do have some churches that have compromised, that doesn't mean Southern Baptists have compromised.
Right.
That's absolutely right.
And so we have a Baptist faith and message that we hold to, and this is the clear stance. And we've made resolutions. We've made other things that say, here's where we are and what we believe. And our messengers have clearly identified that. So because some churches have done some things does not mean Southern Baptists are. So using that Southern Baptist collectively is hard. And that's difficult for people to understand outside of our circles.
Sure.
The other thing is we can talk about the credentials committee. I mean, if we want to remember, the Credentials Committee, and I may be wrong, so there'll be fact checkers out there, but I think it was not established until 2015. So it's a new kind of deal that's a part of what we are, of Article 3 in our bylaws. And then once it was established, they needed some help and guidelines on how they are to monitor things. And so that's where the amendments started happening. And we had an amendment on racism. We had an amendment on sexual abuse. We had an amendment on same-sex pastors. So we started adding amendments. And then you get to the amendment on women pastors. And so the law amendment. So you get to that. And that's where they start going, okay, how now are we going to do this in it? So I'm just up front. I voted for the law amendment 3 times. If we're going to have a credentials committee, we need to be clear as a convention about what we expect them to do and how we expect them to handle things.
So anybody trying to throw you into any kind of category, you voted for the law amendment 3 times.
Well, I voted for the law twice and the Juan Sanchez.
And you know what? Here's what I find. This is where I think people it would blow people's minds. You and I are 99.999% theologically aligned. When I had someone on the South Carolina Baptist Convention staff ask me what I thought about the law amendment, and my response was, we have a law amendment. It's called the Baptist Faith and Message. Well, and so I think absolutely. That's just representative of, I think
it's okay to have a different opinion about that.
Absolutely.
We believe the same thing and are trying to execute it maybe different ways.
Listen, Southern Baptists have clearly stated their position on this by voting out Saddleback, voted out Fern Creek, voted out Alexander.
It's worked.
It's gotten to the floor. It's going to work.
Once it gets to the messengers, yes.
Well, 90-10, it gets to the messengers. They're going to handle it. We hope the Credentials Committee could stop those things from getting to the floor. That's the desire. And so the law amendment helps them say, hey, here's the expectation. Just like the amendment on same-sex attracted pastors. If you have you're not a part of us. So here's the expectation. Give them a little teeth to know this is what we expect when you're making these decisions.
By not making it to the floor, you're saying they should handle it and us not have to vote on it.
Having it, we do it. Now,
I should have voted for it. Damn.
Let me step back. Let me step back and say it didn't pass because we have bylaws. And purposefully, rightfully so, those bylaws, just like in our church, to amend those bylaws takes a supermajority.
Right.
And so we got over 60%. It tells you, again, we are overwhelmingly complementarian and agree on this position.
Yeah.
But philosophically, we have differences on how we're going to adjudicate this and where it comes to. I do not hate those who differ on that philosophically because I know those guys, and there may be some, but I know them out there who didn't vote for the law amendment, but don't believe we should have women pastors, and they do believe in what 1 Timothy 3 says and what the qualifications for an elder pastor overseer is. So they do believe in it. So I know that it's a philosophical difference.
And some of them, it's even, I think, and for me, I wasn't there to vote.
Did you? No, I wasn't there to vote on it anyway.
So I'm the worst Southern Baptist in America. I go to vote for friends. No, I'm kidding.
That's right.
I'm not really being honest about that. But I will say that I wasn't there to vote on the law amendment. But I firmly believe, I think there's a lot of people where I'm at, firmly believe in complementarianism. I believe the only men should be a pastor. 100%. Should not have I think it's crazy when guys do stuff like say, well, it's not the office, but the title is okay. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I find that just silly. Why are they even doing it? And they're confused about the role, in my opinion. The question I think a lot of guys have probably is like, if it's in that role, should we kick them out? I'm honestly, if the body decides, though, this is where, if the body decides, I support whatever the Southern Baptist Convention decides.
Right. Take it. That's exactly my point. Yeah. Take it to the messengers and let them decide. In my estimation, the law amendment was allowing the messengers to say, we've decided. Right. Here's this.
Right.
If that's not what the convention wants, then bring it on. Now, let me step back and say maybe a solution to this is what the Cooperation Committee task force that was formed just a few years ago brought forward that wasn't accepted in there, which was the dual array with the Credentials Committee. We didn't have it until 2015. Go back to where it brings to the messengers anybody. Let somebody bring up any church to unseat those messengers and count them out.
Would make the meeting longer.
Because it would. It may. It didn't before, but it may. But maybe once, maybe twice, and people get the point. But my issue there is to say, like, the messengers should have the final word on this and who we are. Not just those out there in in the ultraverse talking
right.
about
Right.
it. The messenger should have the final word. Bring it to them and let them answer. And if they say this is what we're doing, this is what we do, and we go with it. Right. And then every one of us as a church can decide. You know.
Have you ever had anybody ask you this? And I don't even know the answer, and I don't want to get us down a rabbit hole. But just I have wondered because I was there when we voted on the Baptist Faith and Message 2000.
Yeah.
I was actually there.
Man, you're so old.
Yeah, I know, man. I had look. Love me or hate me for this, but I mean, I had Paige Patterson in my first church. I've got friends that are as far right as the SBC goes. I believe, like the most conservative people believe theologically. But when it comes to that question of like even this whole like complementarian, egalitarian conflict, why didn't they clean it up in 2000?
Yeah.
I don't get that. Like if
I believe
because they're conservative guys who did that.
That's right. No, they're incredibly conservative guys, and I've heard them speak about this. Some of them speak about this, from Dr. Moeller to others, and I obviously you're trying to form. We only have messed with our confession once in a generation. So 2563, 2000.
Sure.
And it was the right time in 2000 because we were able to strengthen it in some places, and many things had happened. You know, from 1960 to 2000 was some of the most transformational period in human history.
Right.
I mean, so you've seen it, and it just continues. I think what they may say in that, and I've heard some say, is that there were some things that we assumed that didn't need to be addressed because it was just common knowledge at the time.
That's right.
And we didn't think it needed to be in there because that's pretty much clear. I mean, nobody's doing that. And then there was some things that happened, like the sexual revolution. Just was more rapid than you can ever imagine. You know what I'm saying? Like how quickly things went from unacceptable, no president is standing for gay marriage, to boom, it's legal. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about 15 years.
Yeah.
So maybe that idea, we didn't know that was coming so fast.
Changed in the presidential administration.
That's right. And so it came so rapidly. Yeah. So there was an idea that we don't have to, this is pretty much understood, and we didn't realize how fast it was coming. Yeah. So is it a place to change the BF&M or to add to it like we did with the family? Should we add to it something on what men and women, the roles of men and women, and or especially in society, the definition of men and women? I mean, we would have never thought we had to answer that question.
Right.
In 2000.
I think the frustrating part for that is that most faithful Southern Baptists, using that term collectively, still know what it means when they read what it says.
That's exactly right.
And I think that was if you really want to get down to the confusion about the law amendment, it's not because there was 5% of people on the floor who thought women should be pastors. Right. There weren't.
Right.
There was 30% who didn't know how we would implement something like a law.
That's right.
Yeah, because I had no problem. I was in the room when we voted Saddleback out.
Yeah.
And I voted to vote him out.
Right.
So it's weird. I mean, like say, so like a specific
the
case
messengers
makes it easier.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, the messengers particularly know what they're reading. I don't know that the B.H. Carroll quote that you heard, that you said just a second ago, that's really gold because that is how the convention works.
Yeah. So to me, you put the power in the messenger's hands. If they vote on it, you say it. So there's things out there that we voted on this. We voted on this the last 3 years, the same things. So the law amendment we've done 3 times now, it didn't pass. Right. So, let's see what the next step is. And maybe the next step is saying, hey, let's go back to before we had the Credentials Committee. Because in some sense, that Credentials Committee could be weaponized either direction. You know what I'm saying? So
let me ask you this, because I think this is key for somebody like me. And I don't know how many people, I may be just a weirdo, but like you're willing to dialogue about the solutions. Sure. And I do think that's key for people. If we're going to find progress to get to a definitive solution as a convention of churches that are autonomous, who don't agree on everything, we have to actually have a bridge to walk across to where we can have a conversation, not an argument.
Well, I mean, it starts with a base knowledge that you are my brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it starts there to say you're not an enemy of mine.
That's great, man.
You're my brother, so let's talk about how we can solve this. Now, I do believe that there are things that we must be diligent about that if they were to creep into our convention, that they could destroy it. I do believe that the female pastor issue, as we've seen in other denominations, is a front door to open up to all kinds of liberal chaos.
Right.
So I stand firm on that.
You're not minimizing that.
No, not at all. I stand firm in that position. At the same time, I don't know of a true traditional liberal in the SBC.
Not the way there were in the 90s.
There's no liberal side meetings. There's nothing like that that's happening.
They left.
See, I remember CBF presidential candidates running in Georgia against our conservative.
That's right.
So I'm that old, you know?
So I don't know of that. I don't know. I know of godly, faithful men and women who love God, love Jesus, love His Word, and consider His Word to be inerrant, infallible, and authoritative. And so now let's find solutions based upon the Word together that can help us move forward, keeping our heart and our mind on the unity of purpose that we have to reach the nations.
If one word, like if Southern Baptist, you're like talking to every Southern Baptist, just to what's kind of the most important thing you want them to hear you say?
Yeah. Thankful, I think. I've been wrestling through that idea of thankfulness. I am thankful to be a Southern Baptist. I mean, I'm a product. My father didn't go to seminary because the seminaries were liberal.
Right.
And so he wasn't going. And I'm a product of faithful Southern Baptist standing up for the truth through the conservative resurgence. I'm a child of the resurgence, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for that work. I'm thankful for what they've done. I'm thankful for what Southern Baptists have meant to me in my life. I'm thankful for the gospel message that is in every nook and cranny of this world because of the work of Southern Baptists. I'm thankful for the churches that are being planted through the North American Mission Board, even now in some of the most difficult cities in the world to reach that are here in America. I'm thankful for the gospel work that Southern Baptists have done. And I want Southern Baptists to be thankful. And I feel like there's so many out there just trying to get us to go, this is terrible. You know, it's awful. Everything's gone to pot. That's my grandmother's old saying.
Right.
I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful, and I want us to be thankful again for what God has given us. And yes, we need to be good stewards moving forward. Yes, we need to find solutions to some of these problems. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm thankful for
There's
for
more
what we have.
right than wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't. No way do I want to burn this place down. These institutions that we have. Yeah. They don't come overnight, man. You don't get an IMB in a year. You know what I'm saying? These things take like literally over hundreds of years to build. And man, I'm thankful for the leadership in all of them. I'm thankful. It's kind of crazy now that I can't say I'm thankful for Paul Chitwood. I can't say I'm thankful for Kevin Ezell. I can't say I'm thankful for our seminary presidents. Man,
without a label going on you.
But I'm just
sad.
I just want to be thankful, and
good,
I hope
man.
Southern Baptists are thankful. And then let's be good stewards, because just like you, thinking about the next generation at your church, Dallas coming up behind you, and so many that you have that you're pouring into. I'm not just thinking about today. I'm thinking about the next 30 years.
That's right.
And I've got, stem of that, I got 2 sons that want to go into ministry. You got 2 sons going into the ministry. I want them to be thankful to be Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
And so how can we work together to make our issues better, right? To make sure we're doing it right, but to pass along a convention that, man, our kids can be thankful for.
What about the guy who thinks when he started this hour, man, he thought, I have nothing in common with this dude. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to find all the reasons why I don't like him. But you're pretty convinced, and I don't even know what category this is, but you're not talking to a guy that you're trying to sway. He's pretty decided. But what would you say if you're elected to be the president of the SBC to the guy on whatever extreme or both extremes? What's your message to them? Maybe they're half 1 foot out, man. They're just should I be done with this?
Probably if we look back at our history in Southern Baptist, we can say the last 10 years have been hard, but we've had some hard years. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's not like there's anything new here. You know what I'm saying? We've had some struggles. We've had our controversies.
Right. We don't have seminary professors doubting the resurrection of Jesus.
We don't have somebody stealing from the $75 million campaign. You know what I'm saying? And embezzling money from.
Right.
We've got some issues, man. We've got to deal with some things, but it's not like that hasn't happened in our history.
Yeah.
So the issues we have, those have cropped up throughout. But probably at the most contentious point in our history was that 1979 and the conservative resurgence. And you're looking out there, what's going to happen? Our institutions, our leadership had gone one direction. Our convention was another direction. And it seemed like there was an impasse. And what do we do? And I remember somebody sent me this week a quote from Adrian Rogers. And it was when he was asked to be Southern Baptist president, he said, look, talking to at that time, really two parties within the convention.
Yeah.
He said, if I can't be a president for all Southern Baptists, I don't want to be president at all.
It's good.
And I would say the same thing. There is not a person in our convention that if they call me, I wouldn't hear them, listen to them, and say, tell me let's see if we can find a solution. Let's see what we can do. I would hope they would understand if there's no solution we can find. But I would be the president to everybody. Like, what's your complaint? What do you have? Let's try to make it better and see what it is, because I believe every voice does matter. And so, and especially those who are coming in good faith, obviously. But yeah, I agree with that. If you can't be president for everybody, then you shouldn't. So I'm not looking at camps. And by the way, I'm keeping no record of wrong. So I told somebody the other day, somebody that's close to me was like, you want me to screenshot all these Twitter posts? And I was like, no, man, the last thing I need to know is I don't want any of that nonsense.
You're not marking people off.
No, man.
I need to go delete mine. Hold on.
Yeah, thank you, Dallas.
Because being raised a pastor's son, I feel like we probably share this. Guys like Bryant Sims would be very similar, I think. But I've got to love, as much as I even joke around about maybe I'm the worst. I avoid some denominational stuff.
Yeah,
I've been the president of state convention, just like you, and that kind of thing. I go to the SBC, honored when I get involved. I have avoided things in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
because of the internal tension and conflict and feeling. Because man, the frustration for me is I genuinely love everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't think loving them means they're right. I care for. I don't know him, but I care for Rick Warren. As much as I don't agree with him, I'm glad that we made the decision we did.
Right.
I just know how effective we would be at accomplishing the mission if we'd get over the silly peripheral stuff that we're making major issues. And so, like, my hope and prayer for you, I know how awesome of a friend you are. And my hope in you as a candidate is that you will be that awesome of a president and representative and friend to Southern Baptists to actually try to build a bridge and bring people back. Not to a uniformity that we had, but a unity that we're praying and hoping for.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And my hope would be guys like you who, man, you're leading a healthy, growing, active church. And as we talk about, just as you said, we need pastors to join into this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need guys who love the Great Commission, who love the cooperation together, who love other pastors. We need them to join in and say, come on back in, and in that say, just kind of rally around each other outside of the fray, and let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
Let's get this going and figure it out, man. So that will be my hope and desire for us to come together, be thankful that we're Southern Baptist, come together around our unity of purpose to reach the nations and to train up ministers. And we didn't even have time to talk about ERLC or other things that are coming. But I'm happy to come back and speak about any of those things. That's right. But find solutions to these things, and let's try to work together to move that way.
I love that you're not running against anything or anybody. You're running toward what God's calling you.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing, man.
Thank you, brother.
Charge on.
Last question, all right?
It's good.
Last question. Everything goes your way in June in Orlando. And imagine that the executive function of president of the Southern Baptist Convention has been expanded greatly. You now have all the power.
It's huge.
Yes.
Day
huge
one,
now.
When President Josh Powell walks in, and he has all the power in the world at his disposal, what are you changing about the SBC?
Well, I would first of all become a sponsor for the SEC. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
and so
right.
as the greatest conference in all of sports. And that way it would hopefully bring...
You are a historian.
Hopefully bring free tickets and other things to that. I don't know. I would make church history a required class for every one of our Baptist colleges and our Baptist institutions.
Yeah.
Is that good?
That's a good one.
Wow. Not what I was expecting.
Dr. Finn is going to watch this
I would.
and love it.
And man, I was truly shaped at North Greenville College through Baptist Life and Thought class. Meant the world to me. And although I was Southern Baptist, it was kind of like, it was kind of like the widow's son at Nain in Luke 7. He woke up at the funeral and somebody had to tell him, no, Jesus touched you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was Southern Baptist and somebody had to go, here's what came before you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the investment that was in place and the suffering and the difficulty that happened to allow you to be sitting at North Greenville College, a conservative Baptist college, hearing the gospel taught and learning the Bible in a faithful.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've moved away from some of that. And man, I would
That's
require
a
it.
great answer. All right,
Not what I was expecting. I was thinking slushies in June. You know what I'm saying? For everybody.
Here's what you just found out. If he becomes a dictator, he'll be a good one.
Yeah.
He'll be a benevolent one.
Thanks.
Hey, can we close just by praying for you
Absolutely,
and
of
praying
course.
for Taylor's and just
Yeah.
praying that God would just go ahead of you the next few months?
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, would you pray for him?
Yeah,
Pastor
man.
Wayne?
Lord, we love you, and God, I just I do lift up Josh and Allison and their whole family first and foremost, because we know that at any time we open up the door and we allow our name to be considered for something like this, there's just a lot of things that maybe he doesn't even know yet that he's going to face, challenges, difficulties, even perhaps criticism and unfair criticism. I pray you just give him strength and the ability to kind of withstand anything that comes his way. God, I pray you just empower Josh from even a peace perspective. Give him the peace that we know is going to pass all understanding, to know that he's just being obedient, because honestly, that's more than anything what we pray that he'd be able to do, is be obedient through whatever he faces. Give him the strength to even go where he needs to go, preach where he needs to preach, speak where he needs to speak. And Lord, if you're gracious enough to let him become the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, I really do pray that you would allow him to do things and maybe break through barriers that have only been dreams and hopes over the last couple decades, and use him for your glory. I pray that even if people never know his name, even in that position, God, they would know your name more because he's been in that seat.
Right.
And Lord, I pray that would be your will and be a reality in the days ahead. We love you and love him. Pray you bless him in Jesus' name.
All right, Pastor Josh, thank you. Until next time, you guys charge on.
Thank you, guys.